You know, in the era where everyone's talking about Absolute Batman or Ultimate Spider-Man or maybe even the return of the Justice League, I'm talking about a random Supergirl backup story from the 70s. Because, of course, what else would I be talking about? In all seriousness, the reason why I'm avoiding talking about Absolute DC is because I'm scared to. It's a very intense area of comics right now where the reactions are very strong in either or way, and I feel like whatever I say about it, I'm going to get attacked. Anyways, to the actual topic of today's video, the tragic story of Superlad, whose only appearance, or this version's only appearance, would be from Supergirl issue 10 from 1974, which was actually the final issue of the entire series. The cover of this issue teases the first story, which was a crossover between Supergirl and Prez. Prez being this comic about this kid who was named Prez that became the president, a comic I actually never read, so going through this first story I was really confused. I don't know much about Prez's lore, if there is Prez lore, but the story left me a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to, and I'm not entirely sure if I want answers to them. There was this kid whose dad died in Vietnam who had this heartfelt speech to Prez that all ends with Prez making the kid forget about his dead dad by fixing his watch. I mean, okay, he didn't forget about his dead dad, but it definitely felt like he didn't really care anymore. I mean, it made me want to read more about Prez, but maybe not for the reasons I think they wanted me to. Maybe a future video. Superlad's story is the backup story of this issue, which, dare I say, is slightly better than the first story of this issue. The comic originally started with Zatanna as a backup story, but it was cut very fast, and was replaced by just additional Supergirl stories in the backups. Except for one Zatanna story that later showed up in later issues, I'm not entirely sure why that was. We start our story with Supergirl coming to see Dr. Forte, who's working on some kind of science, because science, however needs financial aid, and thinks Supergirl can help him. Supergirl's only here because he asked her alter ego Linda Danvers to speak with her. She of course rejects him, saying that while he has good intentions, she doesn't like whatever it is he's implying. His science machine starts to malfunction, but Supergirl is able to contain it with her cape. She apologizes to Dr. Forte before flying off. Where in the sky, Supergirl thinks to herself how she could have sworn she felt being stabbed in the hand, but she decides to ignore it, thinking that was just her imagination. This was actually caused by Dr. Forte, who caused a distraction to get a DNA sample for further plans, because since she won't get him money, he needs someone else to do it, and who better than a clone? Next day when Linda's at college, people see someone flying in the sky, who they exclaim isn't Supergirl or Superman, so Linda slips away to fly up to see who it is. Also, is it weird to anyone else calling Kara Linda? I know that's what her name was at this point, but I'm just so used to calling her Kara. Supergirl catches up to be met by a blonde guy flying who Supergirl says is her identical twin. I assume she means if she was male, or maybe she thinks she looks like a man? He explains that he is her if she was male, and as she thinks about how this could be, he flies away only to come back to reveal he robbed a bank, which results in a brawl where he doesn't get why she's upset with him for robbing a bank, thinking that's what heroes do. They do fight for a bit, which is kind of fun, although their dialogue is a little awkward, telling him that he doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. Superlad returns to his of course creator Dr. Forte with the money, where he goes on about Supergirl telling him he doesn't know right from wrong, which does worry him, but Forte is more excited about having $1 million now, which, I mean, yeah, the 70s, $1 million, that's a lot today, but in the 70s, that's insane. What bank did he rob? We then get the explanation for Superlad. Turns out Dr. Forte's cloning process wasn't completely accurate, resulting in the Supergirl clone being male. I don't know how that works, but I'll go with it. Supergirl shows up during all this, leading to her ending. Superlad is faced with a choice, as he holds his super laser gun, a gun that can kill Kryptonians, and is unsure on who to shoot, Supergirl or Dr. Forte. And he decides to pull it on himself, proving to Supergirl he wasn't evil. This story is weirdly interesting, because it's very silly, but at the same time very dark in its connotations towards the end. It also has a lot of missing details, but at the same time, still has a really weird driving force that you can't create evil. Superlad in many ways kind of feels like a prototype to Superboy Connor Kent, although I highly doubt that was on purpose when they made Superboy. The characters do have some parallels, like being clones who need to fight their villainous urges. Connor is just a lot better at that. I'm unsure how to feel. The story itself was very short and filler, but the ending really hit. It was a dark ending. Not only that, it's the final story of the final issue of this series, making Superlad's suicide the final moment of the entire 70s Supergirl series. What a way to go! Although Supergirl would end up getting stories in the Superman Family comics, along with Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane, since all three of their titles were cancelled to make way for this new book. The name Superlad would also be recycled for Earth 11, the gender-bend reverse universe where the name Superlad would be used for the gender-bend version of Supergirl, where once again he's the male version of Supergirl, but this time is a doppelganger opposed to being a clone. So it might be a reference to the character from the 70s series, but it also could easily be a coincidence. They likely didn't call the character Superboy since Superboy was already an active name. I really enjoyed making this video. I know it's a bit random, but I think I just really want to make something a little more lighter since I am currently working on a pretty big video, and I just finished a pretty big video with Lady Lunar. So I just wanted to make a smaller video to kinda, decompress from all the research. Although I say that Lady Lunar only appeared technically one story, but I made it a bigger deal than it actually was. I'm not doing that with Superlad because I don't think you really can do that with Superlad. This is just a more chill video opposed to probably my next video and the one I just did. And that's it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!